Oscar-nominated actor. Please welcome back to The Late Show, Timothee Chalamet.
In an era where franchises and IP dominate the box office, the traditional concept of the movie star is fading away. Timothee Chalamet is a light of hope. But why him? Why not the hundreds of other young actors fighting for the same spotlight? He has emerged as the face of young Hollywood. Some people say he's the Gen Z equivalent of DiCaprio or Tom Cruise. Is the Chalamet effect real? Or is he just another average star? Well, to understand him, we need to go deeper, and there are 4 key reasons for this. Timothee Chalamet has worked with more Oscar-winning directors before turning 30 than most other actors do in their entire lifetimes. Timothee Chalamet isn't just another good-looking actor, he's a walking paradox. On the surface, he's got that effortless charm, cool, stylish, a total heartthrob. But the moment he speaks, you realize there's something different about him. In Hollywood, where so many young actors ride on their looks alone, Chalamet stands out. He brings something real, intellectual depth, raw emotion, and a sense of self-awareness that's rare in this industry. But where does that come from? How did he become the face of young Hollywood? A lot of it traces back to his roots. Timothee grew up in New York City's Hell's Kitchen, one of the most vibrant artistic neighborhoods out there. Born on December 27th, 1995, he was raised by creative parents. His mom, Nicole Flender, was a Broadway dancer before becoming a real estate broker. His dad, Mark Chalamet, worked as an editor for UNICEF, bringing a French influence into Timothee's life. Can you imagine growing up surrounded by that mix of cultures, art and storytelling? It's no surprise that from a young age, Timothee felt drawn to the arts. Timothee Chalamet didn't just grow up in one culture, he grew up in 2. With a French father and an American Jewish mother, he spent his summers in France but lived in the heart of New York City. Imagine that contrast. One moment he's surrounded by the energy of Hell's Kitchen, the next, he's in a quiet French village soaking in a completely different way of life. This gave him something rare, a global perspective. This might be a reason why his performances feel so real. But his curiosity didn't stop at culture. He was always thinking, always learning. He went to LaGuardia, the best performing arts high school in New York, a dream for young actors, a place where talent is everywhere and only the best make it. But here's the twist. When he tried college at Columbia, it just wasn't for him. He later admitted, yeah, I did a year at Columbia and I just kind of floundered. Maybe it wasn't the right place for me. And honestly, that makes him even more relatable. Not everyone thrives in a traditional academic setting, but that didn't mean he couldn't stop learning. Instead, he took a different approach. He used his curiosity inside of his craft. When he was cast as Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown, he fully immersed himself into that character. He gained 20 pounds, grew out his nails, spent 5 years studying Dylan's voice, his movements, his entire world. That's the kind of dedication that separates a good actor from a legendary one. Even the director of Call Me By Your Name, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, saw it from the start. He called Timothee an old soul trapped in a young body. And honestly, that's exactly what makes him different and why people love him. Timothee's career didn't start with Hollywood blockbusters. It started with television. In 2012, he landed a role in Homeland, playing Finn Walden, the vice president's rebellious son. And this wasn't just some background role. It was the kind of part that needed nuance. A rich kid tangled in political power, making reckless decisions with real consequences. And for a young actor, this was a huge opportunity. And Timothee delivered. That role got him noticed. And soon after, he jumped into film. His first feature, Men, Women and Children. Not the biggest hit, but an important step. Then came Interstellar. And let's be honest, if you're going to have a breakthrough moment, being in a Christopher Nolan film, it's not a bad way to go. He played young Tom Cooper, the son of Matthew McConaughey's character. It wasn't the lead, but it was significant. How many actors get to say they were in a Nolan film early in their careers? These roles were small, but crucial. They gave him experience. They put him on the radar. And most importantly, they set him up for what came next. Because while Timothee's talent and artistic depth were undeniable, there was something else at play. Something that had nothing to do with his skill and everything to do with his timing. Timothée Chalamet's career hit a turning point with Call Me By Your Name. At just 22, he wasn't just good, he was phenomenal. His performance as Elio was so raw, so emotionally real, that it earned him an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. Again, at 22 years old. And get this, he was the youngest nominee in almost 80 years. So what made his performance so unforgettable? In Hollywood, young actors often try too hard to seem deep. The brooding stares, the over-the-top monologues, it's all very manufactured. But Timothée, he did the opposite. As Elio, he didn't force emotions. He created them and lived them. The way he captured first love, the longing, the hesitation, the intensity, felt effortless. Every glance, every pause, every silent moment said something. Critics couldn't stop praising him. He wasn't just acting, he was feeling, and that's what makes him different. Fast forward to 2023, he's taking on a very different challenge, Willy Wonka, a role filled with imagination and whimsiness. People were skeptical. Could he really pull this off? Quite different. Turns out, he absolutely could. His Wonka wasn't just quirky and fun, it was magnetic, and audiences loved it. His portrayal was described as infinitely charming and a blast to watch, highlighting his versatility and ability to captivate audiences across genres. And just like that, he proved his range again. From quiet, aching vulnerability to playful, larger-than-life charm, Timothée Chalamet isn't just a good actor, he's a chameleon. Because Timothée Chalamet reinvented the role of Willy Wonka. It's not easy stepping into the shoes of such an iconic character. Gene Wilder, legendary. Johnny Depp, memorable. So how do you make Wonka your own without losing what made him special in the first place? Chalamet found the perfect balance. He brought an infectious energy to the role, full of wonder and charm, but still kept that mystery that makes Wonka so fascinating. And that's what makes his approach so unique. He doesn't just imitate, he evolves the character, and it worked. Audiences loved it, critics praised his fresh take. Some even said it was the most joyful version of Wonka yet. But this isn't just about one role, it's about what every role says about him as an actor. Timothée Chalamet doesn't take easy roles, he doesn't play it safe. From deeply emotional characters to whimsical icons, he takes on roles that push him as an actor, and that's why people connect with him. He's not just acting, he's feeling, experimenting, challenging himself. And in an industry that often values style over substance, Chalamet is proving that depth is what really lasts. This brings us to the third reason why he's an upcoming superstar. Talent alone doesn't make a star. Choices do. And Timothée Chalamet, he makes bold ones. From the very start, he's been picky, turning down easy mainstream roles in favor of characters that push him. A lot of young actors go straight for big budget action films, franchises, superheroes. Not Timothée. He wants depth, he wants complexity, he wants roles that challenge him. Take Interstellar. A small role, sure, but in a massive, high concept sci-fi film by Christopher Nolan, even a few minutes on screen time had to count. And then there's Lady Bird, Kyle, the too cool guitar playing, I don't believe in money guy. We've all met a Kyle. Maybe you've been a Kyle. And that's what made his performance so good. It felt real. But if you really want to see his range, beautiful boy. This wasn't a cool, detached character. It was raw, it was painful. It was a deep dive into addiction, vulnerability, and self-destruction. Most young actors would run from a role like that, too heavy, too risky. Timothée embraced it, because that's who he is. An actor who isn't afraid to go deep, to be vulnerable, to take risks, to do what others won't. And that's why he stands out. Then came Dune, a massive sci-fi epic, a beloved book, a daunting lead role. Most young actors would buckle under that kind of pressure. Not Timothée. As Paul Atreides, he didn't just play, he redefined one. No over-the-top bravado, no generic action star toughness. Instead, he gave us an introspective Paul, a reluctant leader, a young man trapped by destiny, struggling to balance fear and responsibility. That's what made it work. Because Timothée doesn't just act, he understands the psychology behind every character he plays. It's not just about big roles, it's about meaningful ones. Look at the directors he chooses. Luca Guadagnino, hopefully I pronounced that right, a filmmaker who explores human emotion like no other. Denis Villeneuve, hopefully that was a good French accent, a visionary who redefined sci-fi storytelling. And Greta Gerwig in Little Women, a director who turns classic stories into fresh modern experiences. Timothée moves between between indie films and blockbusters seamlessly, proving that great acting isn't about genre, it's about storytelling. He doesn't chase fame, he doesn't chase box office numbers, he chases roles that matter. From addiction to coming of age struggles to intergalactic warfare, he brings depth to every role he touches. And that's why he's not just another Hollywood heartthrob, he's an artist. What I think is that Timothee Chalamet is a bit of a shapeshifter. One moment he's pouring his heart out into an indie drama. The next, he's leading a big sci-fi movie. Then, he's having fun in a musical fantasy. He moves across genres, like he belongs in all of them, and that's rare. Most actors get stuck in a type, a romantic lead, an action hero, an indie darling. Timothee refuses to stay in one lane, and that's exactly what makes him timeless. He mirrors Generation Z's craving for authenticity over perfection. This is a generation that's tired of false personas and calculated career moves. They want realness, depth, complexity, and that's what Timothee gives them. He doesn't chase what's trending. He challenges himself, he takes risks, he's self-aware enough to know his strengths, and bold enough to step outside of them. And that's why his roles feel alive. Every character he plays feels like a fully realized person, not just another performance. And that's why no matter how Hollywood changes, Timothee Chalamet will always be relevant. Timothee Chalamet's rise isn't just about talent, it's about depth, about authenticity, about an unshakable sense of self. In a world obsessed with trends, he's proof that substance still matters. Hell, it matters even more with visual effects. He's not just another Hollywood star, he's a cultural reflection, a mirror of a generation that values vulnerability over vanity, complexity over cliches. But here's the question, will his icon status last forever? Or is his rise tied to our current obsession with authenticity and self-awareness? Let's hear it. Is Timothee Chalamet timeless? Or is he just the right actor at the right moment? Drop your take in the comments.